terms of Egypt, there wasn't that kind of deep-seated hatred towards the United States where they committed all these kinds of terrorist acts against us. Number two, as it relates to Egypt, why this isn't a good analogy, is because the guy in charge of Egypt at the end of the day in Mubarak was a friend of the United States. And Obama didn't like it. They didn't like the fact that the leader of that country was picked by us and thought that he was bad enough and there was enough people in Egypt that if we got rid of this guy, they would put somebody else in. Well, they did. And it was called the Muslim Brotherhood. And that lasted about 18 months. And finally, the military of Egypt said we had enough of this bullshit. And they deposed that jackass who was in charge. And we had egg on our face. Now, the media wouldn't report that. But the people today are trying to link Trump's strategy with Obama, and all they're doing is looking at it from a very high point of view. We didn't need to mess with Egypt. We already had a guy that was friendly enough to us there, and he kept shit together. That's not the case in Iran. Those people have declared war on us for 47 years, and they took Americans hostage. They killed thousands of service members. They sponsored terror. They committed terror. These are bad people. That wasn't there in Egypt. Now, in terms of Libya, we did have a problem with that idiot for a while, Gaddafi. We did have a problem with that guy. And guess what happened? Ronald Reagan lit up the fuse on some Tomahawk missiles and blew them right through this dude's tent, right up his nostrils, and he straightened up real quick and was our friend ever since.
Right. Old Muammar Gaddafi.
Muammar Gaddafi. And he kept that whole region together. Now, was he a good dude?
No. What?
No. Not as far as I could tell, he wasn't. But that's what we're dealing with over there. You know, what we're trying to do is put people in positions around the world in these hot spots that aren't going to start World War III like what happened in World War I and World War II when we stuck our heads in the sand and just said, well, I mean, you know, the people can do what the people can do and we're just going to forget it. As if that doesn't mean that there is an interest of the United States. Now, It's a fine line, and you got to be careful. And that's why you have to elect people who understand this thing and not warmongers like Dick Cheney or radical revolutionaries like Obama or idiots like Bush. You get a guy like, I think Clinton could handle it, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think Trump can handle it. If you really want to shake it out, Reagan, Clinton, and Trump could handle this bullshit. Nobody else that we've had as president in the last 50 years could do it. Nixon could do it, but that's past 50 years.
Right.
I'm just being honest with people. This is the kind of approach you have to take. It's not, you know, you call it realism, pragmatism, call it whatever you want. It's just here's how the deck is set up, like it or not.
Well, every nation on earth is going to look out for its own best interest. And this is where the United States has to knock off this shit of I'm a citizen of the world and realize that no, every nation is looking out for their interest. So when
they are, John. They are, John. And here's the thing. Here's where we got to be careful.
Go ahead.
And I know where you're going with this, but I just want to say it, and then we'll go with you. Their interests could be our interests.
Yeah. We don't want to have someone over there whose interest is death to America, death to Israel. And
you can't ignore that.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You're exactly right. You cannot ignore that, especially when they act on it, right?
Yeah, they don't just talk about it. I mean, they're doing it. You know, the October 7th with Israel, that could have easily been, well, not easily, but that could have been the United States where, these guys were riding around on motorcycles, kidnapping and raping girls and kidnapping and raping guys in some cases, and, just going off half cocked. And, uh, I mean, I remember the videos from that day, October 7th, 23, and it was just mortifying. And it's like, man, what if that was us, you know? And so sometimes we've got to take the head off the snake and, you know, deal with these people that are crazy and fund these terrorists. And, for 50 years almost, this bunch in Iran has, chanted down America and blown up our embassies and ships overseas. Uh, you know, why did we wait so long? That's the question that should be asked. You know, nobody's going to ask it. What if Hillary Clinton were president in 2016? God help us. Uh, but we would have been at war over there even sooner. And then what would the Democrats and the liberals be saying? Oh, good for war. Um,
We would have been in war over there had she won.
and it would have been,
Would have been in war. Would have been in war somewhere. I guarantee that.
and it
Like,
would,
and I'm not talking this kind of shit. I'm talking Dick Cheney kind of war.
yeah, a ground war where you send a bunch of tanks and soldiers out there on the front lines, and it's like trench warfare almost. And it's your men and women up against their men, uh, face to face, head to head. We're taking out their military, their leaders, without with the minimal amount of harm possible to American soldiers. Putting American soldiers in the minimum amount of danger. That's the way I should say it. Our soldiers.
So where does this go, John? In what? I mean, Trump says we're done in 5 days. Maybe they have enough juice left into them to launch another counterattack. Who knows? In 2 weeks, where are we at? Do we have a new Ayatollah? Do we have a revolution brewing? Do we have a new Ayatollah who is friendly with us, like that chick down in Venezuela? Where are we at in 2 weeks?
That, like he said, it's going to be up to the Iranian people to take over their government when the bombs stop falling. And I hope that there can be a good enough coalition of Arab countries to help the people in Iran put a civilian in charge of their government, somebody who's not in the military, who's not a mullah or a ayatollah, and they can go to a secular government. They're going to need elections. You know, it's going to be rough, but it's got to be on them, and it's going to be on the Iranian people to sort this out. So that's where we are in 2 weeks.
And unfortunately, the Iranian people have been under the thumb of this theocracy 47 years, where any kind of dissent that comes up, people get shot in the head, fall batted, thrown off buildings.
Right.
If they get hurt, their doctors aren't allowed to work on anybody. This is some bad shit. And I think we're all, intelligent enough to know that whatever you think of the decision here to help out our number one ally in the region, Israel, to help our long-term goal, which is peace in the Middle East, which is Palestine and Israel figuring their stuff out, which means we got to get rid of these mullahs in Iran because they're the biggest problem, and Russia and China are propping them up, and everyone else is on board. Everyone else over there, to varying degrees, is on board with this.
Right.
And this makes sense. But I'll say, we don't want to see bloodshed or death. What we want is, in some form or another, the people of whatever country we're talking about here, in this case Iran, to have the government that they want.
Correct.
Because that means, in this global community that we are in, and I don't necessarily like the fact that we're so interconnected, but that's why we got Trump, because he's reworking trade deals to give us a better seat at the table to protect our workers in this environment where we are a global economy. We still have to protect our own.
Mm-hmm.
And that means, from time to time, when people declare war on us, when people kill our people, when people try to upset the apple cart in their region, and use their resources against us, and try to recruit other people to their side, you cannot, I'm telling you, you cannot just simply say, well, that's their problem. If you do that, you're going to have more hell over it in a little bit. And you're going to be right back where you were in 1933, when a real bad situation came around, which caused 4 years worth of big time problems in this country, with a lot of people dead.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to avoid here.
This is a decapitation to, perhaps one of the regimes that would have led us into World War III. I think Russia and China are a little bit smarter than, to say, hey, let's go to war with the United States, even though they saber rattle occasionally. But to let Iran have a nuclear weapon, or have a regime that chants death to America, they're the people that will carry it out. They're not just going to chant it. But we brought up some anti-Semitism and some things about our strongest ally in the region, Israel. I think it's important for people to know that Israel exists because of the United States, and I'm not talking about anything in any of our lifetime. In 1948 or whatever, I might be off on my years, but post World War II, in their last act of hegemony and the United States' first act of hegemony, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the UN, United Nations, set aside that land of Israel for the Jewish people to go somewhere. And so when you're saying, well, we shouldn't side with Israel and Israel runs the United States, read your history book. We created Israel, so we're obligated to defend them to some extent. Now, we have to be the world leader, the hegemon, and deal with these people that want to tip off World War III, like this bunch we just killed in Iran. And so I hope that the next person or people in charge over in Iran are much friendlier to their people. They throw out this book of laws and rules that they've been living under. They throw away uh, uh, the religious police. I can't think of what they call it now, but the religious laws, the Sharia, and I mean that people, they literally had police that went around checking women for hijabs and burqas. If all of that goes away, and you say this is going to be the next regime in Iran says this is going to be a secular state, which the majority of their country is, then you're going to see peace in Iran and freedom for the people over there. And this was about keeping the United States of America safe in the future. So this was America first. Just because it's not something you're going to see the effect of today or tomorrow. This was America first. All right.
It was, and it wasn't easy.
No, it never is. But
thank God we had a guy
with some balls
in there, like with granite hard, man, granite hard, who saw an opening and an opportunity and didn't wilt.
Mm-hmm.
And it might get messier, but I do think this, as it is now, is on the right. I am sad that it's gotten to this point, and wish we didn't have to do this, and would prefer that we didn't. But when you lay out standards and tests of when you should do stuff and when you shouldn't, some of these people that we hear on the internet, it's, well, we just should never do it. We should never get involved. We should never do this. We should never do that. That's not the world. And frankly, that's not life.
Right.
This isn't about where you want it to be or how you want it situation to be. The reality is this group of people over there has done a lot of bad shit to Americans and killed thousands of service members and wounded even more through terrorist attack and God knows what else against Israel and other people in the Middle East, other Christians and Jews and everyone else, and even their own people. And they're the single biggest on the ground barricade to peace in the Middle East. Well, I don't know if they'll get another mullah over there. If the Council of Smart People will get together, and that's about literally what it's called.
Yeah.
We'll get together and pick another mullah, or not mullah, but Ayatollah, and declare himself, king shit at Third Island. But maybe the people can push back now a little bit, like we've seen in the past. Hopefully. But that's what I got, John.
All right, man. Hey, God bless you, man. God bless America. I'll see you next time, Doc.
The Break Wall.